Ah, 9th century Norway, home of big hair, bigger egos, and even bigger boats. Your life here sucks if you a woman or an unarmed man because the whole population is made up of hyper-violent berserkers who only know how to solve problems by smashing things with axes. But hey, at least when they go to war, they do it in style. And by style, I mean wearing bear skins while screaming really loudly. You play as a nameless nobody, so your main goal is to get off the boat and not die. Easy peasy. There are 2 ways you can earn money here. Fishing or fighting. Fighting is dangerous but lucrative, and the reward is immediate. Fishing takes patience, skill, and time, but will also put food in your belly. So let's try that first. The ocean is huge and empty, just like your heart. Ho-ho! You haven't yet mastered the art of catching fish, but the other villagers have, and luckily for you, they're willing to teach you. Over time, you'll learn to read the currents, the weather, the birds, and the fish, slowly building up your skills to become a master fisherman. This takes a while, though. Like any good RPG, fishing in Vikings relies heavily on your equipment. At first, you'll need to make do with a basic rod and reel, but as you progress, you can upgrade both of these to make your line stronger, your hook sharper, and your bait more enticing. But wait, there's more. Before you cast your line, you can choose what kind of fish you want to catch. Cod and haddock are plentiful in these parts, but harder to catch, salmon will bring a higher price. Ha ha. It's a risky strategy, but if it pays off, you'll be rich. Wait, no, you've just lost all your money. Oh dear. That's bad. In between fishing trips, you can visit the local market to sell your wares. Ah, right next to the tavern. Looks lively. And right across from the tavern is the blacksmith. Well, you can't miss the carpenters either. His workshop is right next to the docks. And right down the hill from the carpenter is the tailor, the cobbler, and the trader? Haha, I bet this town isn't big enough to support 2 tailors. Time to open my shop and put this guy out of business. Or maybe I'll just buy all his tools instead. Who has time to craft when you can plunder? And plunder you will, when the game throws you into battle against the English, the French, the Irish, or the Scots. Who? Nothing says fun times like stabbing people with a rusty sword. But don't worry, when you're not trying to gouge out someone's eye. You can always go back to your boat and take it for a spin. Just watch out for those pesky rocks! So will you spend your days rowing aimlessly around an empty ocean? Or will you spend your days smashing things with your friends? Choose wisely, Viking, because in this game, your choices matter. Thank you for watching.
The year is 1178. You are a scribe working in the scriptorium of an Irish monastery. Your day begins before sunrise, when the soft scrape of your chair on the stone floor echoes in the vast emptiness of the still silent abbey. The chill of dawn seeps through the thickness of your woolen robe as you kneel beside your cot, the rough-spun wool scratching your bare arms. The day's work waits, and you know better than to disappoint the prior. With trembling hands, you trace the worn grooves of the prayer beads, whispering pleas for strength and solace, then splashing cold water on your face from a chipped wooden bowl. You rise, pulling your rough homespun robe more tightly against the rising dampness of the morning. The fire in the great hall is banked, filled with the embers of last night's warmth. Bread and cheese wait on a wooden board, and you eat in companionable silence with the other monks, each man lost in contemplation or prayer. The routine of the monastery is as familiar to you as the shape of your own hand. After the morning bell rings, you hurry to the scriptorium. Here, in this high vaulted room with its single-pointed window, the vellum for today's work waits on a long wooden desk. You run your hand over the smooth surface, feeling the raised hairs left by the previous scribe, a physical connection to the prayers and incantations that have marked this holy surface. Taking your place at the desk, you unroll the vellum, smoothing it carefully before you begin. The smell of ink and mildew hangs in the air, mingled with the earthy aroma of drying paint. With a piece of chalk, you mark the lines for lettering, then dip your quill into ink. Words flow onto the page in elegant flowing script, each letter a prayer, each word a petition. The sun climbs higher, spilling light across the desk, warming the tip of your finger as you trace the curves of a sentence. Outside, the rhythmic clang of the blacksmith's hammer mingles with the murmur of the crowd from the village market. But here in the quiet room, there is only the scratch of quill on vellum. In the late afternoon, when the shadows lengthen and the light fades, you step out into the cool air of the cloister garden. The scent of herbs, wet earth, and growing mold fills your lungs, sweet and pungent. Roses, lavender, and sage grow close beside stinging nettles and healing comfrey, each plant a potential remedy for ailment or injury. The stone fountain is choked with weeds, but the water still flows, gurgling over moss-covered stones into a shallow pool. A young novice, Brother Thomas, sits beside it, his head bowed. His shoulders shake with silent sobs, and you know he weeps for sins both great and small. Kneeling beside him, you lay a hand on his hunched back, feeling the tremors of his grief. When he looks up, his eyes red-rimmed and shining, you offer a small smile, a silent understanding passing between you. Later, as dusk deepens into night, you sit beside the other monks in the chapter house, air thick with incense and expectation. The prior paces before the altar, his shadowed face grim. Tonight, there is no chanting, no solemn rhythm of prayer. Instead, there is a story, one that will be retold around many a hearth this winter, a tale of treachery and murder in the dead of night. The hairs on the back of your neck prickle, fear takes root, tendrils of unease coiling in your stomach. It seems the abbey walls can keep the secular world at bay during the day. But at night, shadows stretch and the darkness whispers of things just beyond the candlelight. Finally, the prior dismisses the chapter and you hurry to the safety of your cell. Pulling your cot away from the wall, you kneel beside your prayer book, seeking solace in the familiar words. Sleep comes fitfully, filled with unsettling dreams, and you wake with a start, the echo of screams ringing in your ears. Reaching for the crucifix hanging beside your bed, you pull it close, finding comfort in the cool wood and smooth curves of the painted Christ. As dawn approaches, you hear the comforting sound of roosters crowing. The sun will rise, chasing away the darkness, and with it, the memory of the restless night will fade. For now, you are safe within the sheltering walls of the monastery, where life is a cycle of prayer, work, and quiet contemplation. The sun dips below the dunes, painting the sky in hues of burnt umber and deep teal. As twilight deepens, the caravan winds its way through the darkening streets of the city. The rhythmic clop of hooves on stone, the murmur of voices, and the jingle of harness make a drowsy music in the gathering gloom. Then, through the archway at the far end of the winding thoroughfare, you see a glimmer of light. With a final push, you and your fellow travelers spill out onto a courtyard paved with flat stones. Here the air grows cooler, spiced with the scent of wood smoke and something sweet like roasting nuts. Relief floods through you as you step into the cool shade of this oasis on the edge of town. You are at a caravanserai, a roadside inn catering to travelers journeying along the Silk Road. And as the last rays of sunlight fade, you hurry to dismount and make your way inside. Push aside a heavy linen curtain, revealing a large room with a vaulted ceiling. Through a gap in the wall, you can see the courtyard and the long road stretching into the deepening blue of the night. You shake the dust from your clothes, grateful to be out of the wind, and approach one of the low tables scattered around the room. As your camel driver calls out to the stable boy, you look down at what little remains of your provisions. A crusty piece of bread and a dried apple, both nearly as old as you are. The thought of food, real food, makes your mouth water. In the flickering lamplight, you watch merchants from Persia and India, soldiers from China, and farmers from the local village. All manner of people, some haggard and grimy, others resplendent in fine clothes, sit elbow to elbow. They gather here to trade not only goods but stories of the far-off places they've seen. There is an easy camaraderie among them, a shared understanding born of the hardships and delights of life on the road. After days of riding, it's good to sit. You sink onto the cushions, letting the soft fabric mold to your shape. As you do, a merchant slides a small, intricately carved box across the table toward you. "For the road," he says, his voice raspy from the dust. Inside, nestled on a bed of red silk, are a few strings of fragrant saffron threads. You smile, your heart lighter than it's been in weeks. The room buzzes with the quiet murmur of many languages. From a nearby table, you hear lilting Chinese being exchanged for rough-spun linen cloth. Another group argues in rapid-fire Arabic over the price of porcelain bowls. You don't understand their words, but their gestures are universal. Hands cupped to show the quality of the wares, palms outstretched to convey trustworthiness. Some of the merchants deal in things you've never seen before, like the shimmering fabrics. Bolts of cobalt blue silk patterned with silver threads, or rolls of paper so thin and light that it seems almost wrong to touch them. But there are familiar things here too: brass bowls, copper trays, lengths of dark wood that smell of vanilla and spice. And always there is the tea, brought in huge clay pots from the caravans arriving just before sunset. You watch the stream of travelers come and go, feeling the pull of the road, the endless call to keep moving, to keep exploring. But for now, you stay where you are, enjoying the comforting buzz of human voices and the feel of soft cushions beneath you. As the night deepens, the chatter gradually fades. One by one, the oil lamps sputter and die, plunging the room into near darkness. Only the soft glow of the brazier in the far corner remains, casting dancing shadows on the rough stone walls. Outside, the wind rises, sending a chill through the room. You pull your cloak tighter about you and rest your head on your hands, listening to the night sounds, the sigh of the wind, the occasional bark of a dog, the clatter of hooves on stone. Then above it all, you hear the storyteller begin his tales, his voice weaving magic in the darkness, drawing you into fantastical adventures that take you far from this desert inn. For a while, you forget the gnawing ache in your bones, the thirst in your throat, and let the sound of his voice carry you away. And when dawn finally breaks, painting the eastern sky with hints of gold and rose, you know it's time to go. As you stand up, stiff and sore from your long journey, you feel a pang of regret. It's always hard to leave a place of warmth and rest for the cold, hard road. But the road is calling, and you must answer its call. So you gather up your meager belongings, hand the last of your money to the innkeeper, and step back out into the sunlight. You adjust your pack, climb onto your camel, and follow the others as they make their way out of town and onto the endless ribbon of the Silk Road, ready to face whatever the day may bring. The city is asleep. It's very early in the morning. In fact, It's probably too early for most things to be open. But there are some things that never sleep in this city, or rather, some people that never sleep in this city. Come with me. Let's see them. It is the year 1600 and you find yourself in Edo, at the heart of early modern Japan, a sprawling metropolis of nearly 1 million people. And even though it's barely the crack of dawn, you know that sleeping in this city is not an option if you do and want to miss out. So you throw on your finest kimono and head out into the streets to see what this city has to offer. The streets are quiet, still touched by the silver wash of dawn. Wooden shutters creak open and the rhythmic whisper of merchants sweeping the narrow lanes greets your ears. Their straw brooms dance gracefully over the packed earth, stirring up a few sleepy cats who slink away seeking warmth and slumber. The air is fresh, carrying with it the sweet scent of pine from nearby forests and the distant salty temps of the sea. As you stroll along, you pass a vendor arranging baskets of fresh fish. Their scales glisten in the early light, a mosaic of blues and purples and reds. You pause for a moment, contemplating the delicate beauty of their fins and tails before moving on. Up ahead, wisps of steam curl enticingly from a nearby tea house. The promise of warmth and caffeine beckons you closer. Inside, old men clad in rough cotton smocks are already seated on tatami mats, sipping steaming cups of tea, while others prepare the day's first harvest of rice. You inhale the rich, toasty aroma, mingling with the faint, comforting scent of cedar from fresh sawn boards. As you step back onto the street, the rising sun bathes the buildings in a warm glow, painting the wooden facades in hues of amber and rose. A sudden clatter makes you turn around, and you find yourself face to face with a samurai. His steps are slow and deliberate, each footfall echoing softly in the stillness. Beneath his dark outer robe, you can just make out the glint of armor plates, a silent testament to his noble rank and deadly skills. He carries himself with an air of calm authority, his eyes scanning the street ahead, taking in every detail. For a moment, you lock eyes with him and feel a surge of respect mixed with a hint of trepidation. Then he inclines his head in a slight bow and continues on his way, disappearing around a corner. You come to a small bridge that spans a clear stream, its surface reflecting the soft gray sky above. As you pause to admire the tranquil scene, a group of koi fish ripple the water below, their colors muted under the somber sky. The sight of these graceful creatures swimming effortlessly through the water fills you with a sense of calm. Suddenly, a flash of brilliant red catches your eye. A large red maple leaf drifts slowly down from a nearby tree, floating on the surface of the water like a tiny boat. It's a fleeting moment of beauty, a reminder of the ephemeral nature of life. Paper lanterns sway gently in the breeze, their pale glow fading with the rising sun. The city is waking up, stretching and yawning, readying itself for the day ahead. Each sound seems amplified in the stillness, the creak of a wooden bucket, the distant clink of a hammer on steel. And as the sun climbs higher in the sky, the quiet beauty of the early hour gives way to the steady rhythm of the day. The hum of morning commerce begins to build, blending together into a comforting melody. The city is alive now, thrumming with energy and anticipation, and you find yourself eager to explore its bustling streets, knowing that each corner will reveal something new and wonderful. And so you walk on, letting the sounds of the city guide you, eager to discover all that this vibrant metropolis has in store for you. Segment 17. Inside a Roman bathhouse. 2nd century CE, the marble floor is cool beneath your feet as you step into the dim, echoing space. Steam drifts lazily from the caldarium, wrapping the air in warmth and the faint scent of olive oil. You pass mosaics underfoot. Tiny tesserae arranged in patterns of dolphins, vines, and curling waves. Voices murmur in the distance, softened by the mist. In the tepidarium, the air is heavy but comforting, like being held in a warm embrace. The splash of water and the clink of bronze strigils against basins form a gentle, repetitive music. Sink slowly into the pool, the water embracing you from neck to toe. Light filters through small, high windows, casting golden shafts that shift with the steam. Nearby, a slave pours warm water into a basin, the ripples catching the light. The air hums with the quiet rituals of bathing. Conversations murmured, skin scrubbed, oil rubbed in slow, practiced circles. You close your eyes and feel centuries melt away, as if time itself has been slowed to match the rhythm of the water's surface. A low, soothing chant echoes through the steam-filled room, its source a woman seated on a nearby bench. With rhythmic precision, she dips a bronze ladle into a marble basin, then throws her head back and pours the water over a slumbering man. He stirs, a small smile touching his lips as the water cascades down his chest, pooling at his feet. The scene is one of quiet comfort, a tableau of relaxation and rejuvenation amidst the bustling city. Here in the heart of the Roman bathhouse, the frigidarium, tepidarium, and caldarium merge into a symphony of sensations. The air grows warmer as you move through the labyrinthine corridors, each turn revealing new scenes of indulgence and tranquility. Sunlight streams through an opening in the ceiling, illuminating motes dancing in the steam. The caldarium, or hot bath, is a place of pure indulgence. Its circular floor and barrel-vaulted ceiling echo the grandeur of the Roman Empire. The centerpiece, a large, inviting pool, is ringed by marble benches where patrons lounge, sharing stories and enjoying the heat. The water, heated by an ingenious system of underground tunnels and furnaces, is a perfect 40 degrees Celsius, hot enough to soothe tired muscles, but not so hot as to be unbearable. The steam rising from the water mingles with the scent of burning cedar and the faintest hint of cinnamon. But the experience of the Roman bath is more than just a physical one. It's a social event, a time for gossip, business deals, and forging friendships. The rhythmic slap of the massage and scraping of the strigil, the clink of bronze on marble, all contribute to a lively soundtrack that underscores the energy of the room. You find yourself enveloped in a world where time seems to slow and cares drift away like steam. The flickering light of the oil lamp dances in your half-closed eyes as the rhythmic chanting of the bathhouse workers fills your ears. The warmth of the water seeps into your bones, easing every ache and tension. In this moment of pure relaxation, you are utterly present. It's connected to the ancient ritual and the timeless human experience of bathing. As the session draws to a close, you emerge from the water feeling reborn, your skin smooth and invigorated. The transition from the stifling heat to the cool marble floor is a shock, but one that leaves you feeling refreshed and invigorated. You wrap yourself in a warm cloak provided by the bathhouse and step out into the bustling streets of Rome, ready to face the day with renewed energy. The experience lingers long after you leave the bathhouse, a memory of warmth, camaraderie, and pure indulgence that you carry with you through the ancient city. The echoes of laughter, conversation, and the rhythmic routines of the bathhouse workers still resonate in your ears. And the lingering scent of olive oil and cedar wood seems to cling to your very essence, a reminder of the luxurious experience you've just enjoyed. And now you must return to your life in the eternal city. But you do so with a newfound appreciation for the simple pleasures of a good bath and the warmth of human connection. The sun hadn't yet crested the rooftops, but in the small, warm shop, tucked between two narrow buildings, the bakers were already hard at work. Was feeding carefully dried wood into the oven, coaxing it to life. Its flickering flames and glowing embers cast dancing shadows on the brick walls and made the dust motes in the air shimmer like a mini galaxy. The younger man, his feet bare and stained with flour, moved around the oven, measuring out flour onto the cool stone countertop, added just enough water to make the dough smooth but not sticky. Then, with the practiced ease of someone who had done this countless times before, he started to mix it in a steady rhythm. The older man watched him for a moment, a small smile playing on his lips. It had been years since he'd taken on an apprentice, and even longer since he had one as eager and quick as the young man now working beside him. Soon the dough was ready, and the older baker, whose name was Omar, got to work kneading it. Folding and pressing in a steady rhythm that was almost like a heartbeat. The younger man, whose name was Finn, watched him, his eyes filled with a quiet reverence. The rhythmic thump of the dough against the countertop was a familiar lullaby to him, bringing back memories of his childhood when his mother used to bake bread at their home. In the small village where he grew up, baking was more than just a trade. It was an art form, a tradition passed down from mothers to daughters and fathers to sons. And when Finn was just a little boy, he would sit on a stool by the window watching the sunrise over the fields as his mother worked, her hands moving with the practiced grace of a seasoned baker. The dough would spring up and fall under her touch, and he would watch, mesmerized, as she coaxed life into the bread. It was more than just flour and water. It was magic. And in those moments, he knew he wanted to be a baker. But life had a way of changing one's path. After his mother died when he was 16, Finn had to leave school to help his father, a stonemason, support their family. He never forgot his mother or the magic of baking. And when the traveling bakers came to his village that summer, he spent every spare moment he had helping them. By the time they packed up and moved on, he knew this was what he wanted to do. Now, with Omar, he was learning the ways of the city, the different types of flour, and the secrets of making the perfect loaf. As the sun began to crest the rooftops, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, they finished their work. The loaves, round and firm, were placed on a peel and slid into the oven. The heat was intense, but the smell was heavenly. Flour dusted the air, mingled with the sweet aroma of yeast and the warmth of baking bread. When the loaves were done, they pulled them out one by one, placed them in woven baskets, still warm, wrapped in linen to keep them soft. As the city slowly woke up, the bakers got ready to head to the market. The older baker, Omar, adjusted his blue cap, his face serious as he looked out at the rising sun. For him, baking was more than just a trade. It was a way of life, a legacy passed down from his ancestors, who had baked their daily bread in the heart of this city. As they walked, Finn couldn't help but smile. Today was his first day at the market. He could not wait to see the look on people's faces when they tasted the bread he and Omar had baked. The sound of the city slowly waking up filled the air, the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the soft murmur of people stirring in their homes, and the gentle bleating of sheep as their owners made ready to take them to the market. It was a symphony of sounds that told the story of a city coming alive. Soon, the market was in sight, a bustling hub of activity where farmers sold their produce. Fishmongers displayed their catch of the day, and merchants hawked their wares. People lined up, speaking in low voices, greeting neighbors with a nod, their faces a mix of excitement and anticipation. The steam rising from the basket of bread mingled with the morning air, carrying the scent of freshly baked goodness to every corner of the market. And as the sun climbed higher in the sky, the first customer appeared, drawn in by the smell of bread, eager to start their day with a taste of something fresh and warm. Now we're going to look at another extract from our reading book. This is a Year 6 reading book. So, let's get started. By the time the first bells rang from the chapel tower, the market square had begun to stir. Merchants arrived slowly, each guiding a small cart pulled by hand or by a patient donkey. The stones beneath their feet were still damp from the night's dew, and their wheels made soft creaking sounds as they rolled over the uneven ground. Stalls were opened in no hurry. Wooden shutters were folded back, revealing shelves lined with jars of honey, baskets of apples, and bundles of herbs tied neatly with twine. A fishmonger placed his catch of the day on a bed of cool river reeds, arranging them so the silver scales caught the early light. Conversations drifted through the square, not hurried bargaining, but gentle exchanges about the weather, family, and the state of the harvest. A child clutched a coin in one hand and a mother's fingers in the other, waiting patiently for a sweet roll from the baker's stand. In the far corner, an elderly woman sat on a low stool, selling thread and small spools. She hummed to herself, her voice almost blending into the background of soft footsteps and the occasional call of a distant gull. Now, before we begin, I just want to say this is a lovely, descriptive passage. And if you're a teacher, you could use this in your lessons to help your students write better descriptions. There are lots of lovely phrases that really bring the scene to life. We have the merchants arriving. They're in no hurry. It's a leisurely. It's a calm market. You can really feel that. And there's lots of sensory details, lots of things that appeal to the five senses. Now let's answer some questions about this extract. Question 1. How did the merchants travel to the market? Now, read the extract again. Look for your answer. Here it is. Each guiding a small cart, pulled by hand or by a patient donkey. So some of the merchants traveled by cart, some pulled by hand, some pulled by donkeys. Question no. 2. What did the fishmonger do with his catch? Read the extract again. Here's the line. A fishmonger placed his catch of the day on a bed of cool river reeds, arranging them so the silver scales caught the early light. So he placed his fish on a bed of cool river reeds, and he arranged it carefully so the scales, the shiny bits of the fish, glistened in the morning light. Question no. 3. How does the author describe the people in the market? Again, read the extract. Look for your answer. Here it is. Not hurried bargaining, but gentle exchanges. So the author describes the people as being gentle and not in a hurry. It's a leisurely, relaxed market. Question no. For what was the child waiting for? Read the extract. Here it is. A child clutched a coin in one hand and a mother's fingers in the other, waiting patiently for a sweet roll from the baker's stand. So the child was waiting for a sweetbread roll from the baker. Question no. 5. What type of sound did the old woman make? Read the extract. Here it is. An elderly woman sat on a low stool, selling thread in small spools. She hummed to herself, her voice almost blending into the background. So the old woman was humming to herself. And finally, question no. 6. What is the main impression you get from this passage? What's the main impression? Read the extract again. Think about it. Look for your answer. Here it is. The main impression you get from this passage is that of a busy market square coming to life in the morning. Now, if you want to download this extract and the full lesson plan, including the answers to the questions, head over to my website. You can find the link in the description box below. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you next time. By midday, the sun had climbed high enough to warm the pale stone of the village bridge. The water beneath moved lazily, a soft ripple carrying with it drifting petals from the cherry trees upstream. Their faint fragrance lingered in the air, mingling with the earthy scent of moss clinging to the bridge's worn edges. Travelers paused here not because the path demanded it, but because the view seemed to insist upon a moment's rest. Some leaned on the rail, watching the water glide by. Others simply closed their eyes, listening to the muted splash of a heron stepping into the shallows. On the far side of the bridge, a boy sat cross-legged, mending the net he had torn that morning. Each knot was tied with slow precision, the way his grandfather had taught him. From time to time, he looked up, as if expecting someone, but always returned to the quiet work in his hands. Beneath the bridge, shadows swayed gently with the water's movement. And the world above seemed far away, softened by the steady rhythm of the river. A young woman stood at the edge of the bridge, her gaze fixed on the water. The basket at her feet contained more cherries than could be eaten in a day, yet she seemed not to notice their sweet temptation. Her brow was furrowed, her lips pressed together as if tasting something bitter. It was as though the gentle scene around her had faded to a dull murmur, and only the river, flowing endlessly between the banks, held her full attention. A passing traveler, seeing her there, might have assumed she was lost in thought or burdened by some unseen care. But to truly understand the turmoil that churned within her, one would have to know the story that brought her to this solitary place. The hopes and fears that made her heart ache with a longing that words could not name. The sun climbed higher still, and the heat of the day began to press down like a heavy cloth. The young woman shifted her weight, and as she did, a single cherry rolled from the basket, tumbling end over end until it reached the water's edge. For a moment, it hung suspended on the brink, then fell into the current and was carried away. She watched it go, a faint smile touching her lips. It was the first movement in what felt like an endless stillness, the first sound in a world reduced to silence. And in that instant, something within her seemed to stir, as if awakened from a deep sleep. The troubled waters of her heart, churned by unseen winds, began to find a new current, one that flowed not toward sorrow, but toward a glimmer of understanding on the horizon. As the cherry drifted on its watery journey, it became a silent messenger, carrying with it the essence of the young woman's unspoken emotions. It flowed past the travelers who stood leaning on the bridge's railing, their faces turned toward the sun. It glided under the bridge's shadow, where the boy with patient hands continued his task of weaving the net, his brow furrowed in concentration. The cherry was a small thing, easily forgotten, yet it held within its fragile form the weight of the young woman's story, a story that until now had been trapped within her own heart. But the river had a way of unraveling even the tightest knots, of loosening the grip of sorrow and fear. And as the cherry floated on, it seemed to carry with it the promise of a new beginning, a dawn after the longest night. The young woman stood watching, her gaze unwavering, as if in that moment of quiet contemplation, she too was being carried by the current toward a place where the shadows were growing fainter and the light of understanding shone ever so faintly on the horizon.
Welcome back to the sanctuary. I'm here today to guide you on a journey through this enchanted realm. But before we begin our adventure, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any of our magical expeditions. Now, let's delve into the mystical depths of this enchanting world together. Our story begins just beyond the babbling brook, where the soft gurgling of water over smooth stones had lulled you into a tranquil state. Now the path beckons you onward, weaving deeper into a secluded grove of ancient trees. Sunlight streams through the canopy, painting dappled patterns on the forest floor. As you wander, you notice a change in the trees. They stand tall and slender, their trunks like pale pillars reaching towards the heavens. Their bark is smooth, almost shimmering with a faint, silvery glow. You stop to admire these ethereal trees as they sway gently in the breeze, their rustling leaves whispering secrets to the wind. And it is here, amidst the gentle swaying and murmuring trees, that you discover something truly remarkable. The rustle of the leaves is not random. It comes in rhythmic intervals, almost like a pattern. As you stand there listening intently, you realize that the wind seems to be forming words among the trees. You strain to hear what they might be saying, but the words are just beyond your understanding. Pausing for a moment, you become aware of something else. Each tree seems to be angled slightly towards the center of the grove, their branches arching inward as if they are leaning towards each other. In the distance, the trees form a circle, their branches interlaced, creating a sacred space that beckons you forward. And as you step into the clearing, you see that all the trees here seem to be pointing towards you. A blue jay calls out from somewhere in the trees, its voice echoing through the stillness. Then, just as abruptly, it falls silent. The air around you seems to thicken, and you can feel a hush falling over the grove. It's as if the trees themselves are holding their breath, and in that moment, you understand that you are not alone. There is a presence here, an ancient and knowing energy that has been waiting for you. The wind whispers through the leaves once more, and this time you can hear something beneath the rustling. It is a murmur, low and round, like the voice of the earth itself, speaking in a language older than words. It doesn't feel threatening, only vast and full of memories that stretch back centuries. It feels as though the trees have been waiting for you, and now they are sharing their stories with you. Stories that have been whispered down through the ages by the wind. The path ahead is bathed in a golden light, inviting you to continue your journey into the heart of the grove. You take a step forward and feel as though you are entering a great hall where the trees are the pillars and the sky is the vaulted ceiling. The air is alive with the scent of ancient wood and the sweet fragrance of blossoms. It feels as if you have stepped into a place untouched by time, a sanctuary where the old magic still lingers. As you walk deeper into the grove, the trees close in around you, their branches forming a leafy canopy overhead. The sunlight filters through the leaves, creating a mosaic of light and shadow on the forest floor. The air is still and hushed, and you can hear the soft murmur of the trees all around you. It feels as though you are being embraced by the trees, enveloped in their silent wisdom. And then you remember the words of the old woman from the village. She had spoken of a place where the trees listened, and you had not believed her. But now you know that she was right. These trees do listen, and they have been waiting for you to come and hear their stories. But what stories do the trees have to tell? What secrets have they been holding on to for so long? Will you find answers to your own questions among their ancient branches? The path ahead is shrouded in mystery, and you can't help but wonder what lies at the end of it. Will you continue on this enchanting journey and discover the secrets of the listening trees? Or will you turn back and leave this mystical grove behind? The choice, my friend, is yours. But if you choose to stay, please remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future adventures. Together, we can explore the wonders of this enchanted realm and uncover the mysteries that lie within. So please, dear viewer, don't hesitate. Take that next step with us and let the magic of this world unfold before your very eyes. Welcome to the 21st segment of the audio journey through the Heart Sutra. Before we begin, I'd like to thank all of you who've been joining me on this project. Your comments and shares help keep this practice alive and well. And if you're new here, welcome. Just find the subscribe button and join the So let's go. Beyond the bridge, the path began to climb. It curled gently around the side of a low hill. The grass here grew long and soft, brushing against the ankles of anyone who passed. Tiny insects hovered lazily above the wildflowers, their wings catching fragments of sunlight. A breeze came and went, like a passing thought, carrying the faint rustle of distant bamboo. Somewhere ahead, the slow ring of a temple bell marked the hour. Its sound rolled down the hill in long, patient waves. An old woman walked the path with a woven basket balanced on her hip. It was half filled with plums, their skin glistening in the light. She paused often, not from weariness, but to glance at the sky as if reading something written there. Higher up, a lone pine stood near the bend, its roots exposed where the soil had been washed away over years of rain. It seemed to lean ever so slightly toward the valley, like a watchful figure keeping the slope in quiet company. The path curved out of sight, promising that whatever lay beyond would arrive only when one was ready to see it. So we have a path now that is going up a slight incline, a gentle slope. We're leaving the flatter land, the valley behind us. And the imagery here is very peaceful. The grass is long and soft. It brushes against the ankles of those who walk by, but it's not a wild, unruly growth. It's gentle, it's soft, it's not thorny. And the insects are also described as flying lazily. They're not in a hurry. There's no sense of urgency about them. They're just hovering over the wildflowers, enjoying the sunshine. There's a sense of ease and relaxation in the atmosphere. Even the breeze is compared to a passing thought. It comes and goes without any effort, without any struggle. And the sound of the bamboo in the distance is faint, like a whisper. There's no harsh noise. There's no jarring sound. Everything is soft. Everything is gentle. Then there's the old woman who is walking on the path. Now, she's not described as being swift or agile. She's just walking at her own pace, stopping occasionally to look up at the sky. And I love this detail because it tells me that she is not just looking at the physical world around her. She's also aware of the subtle energies that are at play. She's not distracted by the scenery or the sounds. Although they are there, she can hear them, she can see them. Her attention is focused inward, like she's listening to something beyond the range of hearing. And this reminds me of the Zen practice of Zazen, where the student is asked to sit and just be, to observe the thoughts and emotions that arise without judgment, without trying to change them, without trying to make them go away. The old woman is doing something similar. She's walking, yes, but her mind is free from the distractions of the senses. She's not attached to the beauty of the plums, to the sound of the breeze, to the sight of the flowers. She's just there, fully present in each step she takes. Then there's the pine tree, which stands alone on the slope, its roots exposed and its branches reaching towards the sky. This tree has been here for many years, perhaps decades or even centuries, and it's seen the seasons change countless times. It has witnessed the ebb and flow of life on the hill, and it has stood firm through it all. Despite the rain that has washed away the soil around its roots, it has not fallen over. Instead, it has adjusted and grown around the bend in the path, as if it were guiding those who walk there. The pine tree is a symbol of resilience, of strength, of endurance. And it's also a reminder that even in the midst of change, one can remain grounded and centered. And finally, the path itself, which is now curved out of sight, promising that what lies beyond will only be revealed when one is ready to see it. This is an important lesson for us to remember. Sometimes we force things, don't we? We try to control outcomes. We try to force people to do our will. We try to make the future happen the way we want it to. But the truth is that we can't see the whole picture. We can't know what lies around the bend. And sometimes what we think we want is not what we really need. So we have to learn to trust the process, to surrender to the mystery, to have faith in the unfolding of life. The path will reveal what is meant to be revealed, and we must be willing to follow wherever it leads. Thank you for walking this segment with me. May you find peace in the midst of your busy life. And may you discover the joy of simply being present to each step you take. I'll be back tomorrow with another segment. Until then, may you be filled with peace, joy, and love. The wind has become a whisper. It's cold against your skin, and the chill seems to seep into your very bones. Ahead, the trees have formed a dense wall, blocking the path and forcing you into the undergrowth. Thorns snag at your clothes. Branches reach out like skeletal fingers, brushing your face, and every rustle of dead leaves makes you jump. Just when you think the path might end, forcing you to turn back, you find a break in the trees. Pushing through, you step into a small clearing. In the center stands a monolith, tall and smooth, like a weathered finger pointing accusingly at the sky. Runes are carved into its surface, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light, and their shapes seem to writhe and twist like living things. As you approach, the whispers in the trees grow louder, taking on a singular tone, becoming chant-like, and yet you can't make out the words. Just when you think you might be going mad, the chanting stops. A presence, ancient and powerful, seems to emanate from the monolith, causing the hairs on the back of your neck to stand on end. The air grows heavy, charged with anticipation, and you feel a pull. A compulsion to do something, anything, to break the silence, but you can't bring yourself to speak. There's something about this place, this moment, that feels too charged, too important. Then you see it. At the base of the monolith, half hidden in the undergrowth, is a small wooden box. With trembling hands, you push aside the leaves, revealing a tarnished silver clasp. As you reach for it, the runes on the monolith flare, bathing the clearing in their eerie glow. You hesitate, fear warring with your need to know what lies within the box. But something compels you forward. Taking a deep breath, you unfasten the clasp and lift the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, is a single feather. It's long and slender, tipped with obsidian black, and as you reach for it, the feather stirs, floating upwards, as if alive. You close your eyes, reaching out, and the moment your fingers brush the feather, a jolt of energy surges through you, bringing with it a rush of images and emotions. You see a vast hall, its ceiling lost in shadow, its floor a mosaic of silver and gold. In the center is a throne of twisted obsidian, and seated upon it is a figure swathed in darkness, its face obscured by a hood. You feel power thrumming in the air, ancient and terrible, and you sense a presence watching, waiting. And in that instant, you understand that you are not alone. With a start, you open your eyes, dropping the feather as a low growl echoes through the trees. The clearing is empty, the monolith stripped of its glow, the box lying open at your feet. But you're no longer afraid. In fact, you feel strangely exhilarated as you rise, brushing dirt and leaves from your clothes. A smirk touches your lips. You found what you were looking for, and now you're ready for whatever comes next. And now it's time for you to continue the story. What did you find in the Whispering Wood? What secrets did the feather reveal? And how will you use what you've learned? The fate of the story, of the world, perhaps rests in your hands. So pick up your quill and paper, dear reader, and let the tale continue.